Ladies and gentlemen, happy Tuesday. This is David Mirikitani with another episode of Weighing In. We are brought to you by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike gear, including these new clean hats. Brought to you by Resolite, the mat company. Appreciate those guys. Pure and Clean Sports. We've seen a lot of them the last couple weeks, and we will throughout the summer. And by Jocko Fuels. Boys, I'm down another pound and a half, down almost 27 pounds since Jan 1. Appreciate Jocko Fuels for helping me in that process. Might be sneaking on the mats at the end of the year. Joined today by Mark Ostrander, Grant Turner. GT, back from Dallas. Let's just get right into it. RAF Live. Got to talk to you briefly about it via text. Kind of give people a firsthand experience of what it's like. It's coming here to St. Louis in a couple weeks, so I'll get a chance to poke my head in. Tell us, me, Mark, everybody about what it looks like, sounds like, feels like, all of it.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things about RAF in general is, I think that there was a lot of people that weren't necessarily maybe on board with it. They didn't really quite maybe understand what RAF was. I think the big thing about RAF is that it gives you a fight card experience with all of the bells and whistles that you would hope for in a dual meet format. Matchups, video promotion, pyrotechnics, walkouts, music, crowd involvement. It feels like a professional setting when you go to a NBA game, or if you go to a collegiate basketball game where they have things that are going on while it's going on, meaning fan zones, autograph signings, merchandising. All of those things are basically a part of the event. And then there's one of the cool things is that you're starting to get a lot of the MMA community and or some combat sport celebrities that are in attendance. So you're getting kind of that front row as you watch the NBA finals. You get the front row of all the celebrities that kind of are watching. So in RAF Arlington, John Jones was in attendance because he was helping out with Gable, which, once again, I can't remember the last time that we had a UFC champion at a wrestling event. And then they also had Chris Weidman, who had just been inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame. He was on the card. Arman was on the card. Marab was on the card. So there was a lot of really big names. And then
Frankie Edgar too, right?
Frankie Edgar.
Yeah.
Olympic gold medalist and Gable Steveson made his return to wrestling. Another All-American, Colby Covington, was on the card. Kyle Snyder versus GVS Matrashvili. So that's a legit top 5 matchup in the international wrestling world. GV Matrashvili is a multiple-time senior world medalist and an Olympic silver medalist, I should say. You got a lot of everything on the card. We had a couple of different guys that had represented Team USA on that card. Kyle Snyder, Real Woods, Zane Rethford, Gable Steveson were all on the card. So, really good night of wrestling, and the arena was a really solid choice. Not too big, but it was
Was it one of the ones at the Olympic trials or US Open were back down there, or is it a third one?
It was a third one. It was at the University of Texas at Arlington's basketball arena. And I believe it's where the Dallas Wings play, which is the women's professional or WNBA franchise. So great location, really cool. A lot of wrestling people in town for the event. And once again, it was about a 5-minute drive from AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play. So it's in a nice little area. So
nice. Several of the names you mentioned, Mark, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Chris Weidman was a junior college guy. Colby Covington was a junior college guy. John Jones was a junior college guy. And shout out to you, Colby Covington and John Jones are both Iowa Central guys. So I want to make sure we get that DAP out there. I think we proudly carry that junior college flag for all the guys that did it or are doing it now. I think, it's cool to see that going on. I think my initial trepidation was, it was kind of being pitched as a place where, like elite guys could go to continue their careers and make money. And we're seeing that with like the Zahids and Kekaisens and Snyders, but we're also seeing influencers and stuff like that. And so it just kind of threw me for a loop. Mark, you are our resident get off my lawn guy. So what are your thoughts on RAF? What did you get a chance to watch the card? How about that?
No, I did not. I just got to see some clips from it. I guess my biggest takeaway is Gable looked pretty good. We're not wrestling for a few years. I mean, that was a quality win, and it wasn't even close. So do we get back into the rumor mill that maybe next year he makes a run at the Worlds and tries to make the Olympic team? Just a thought.
I think this is where I think RAF would be really interesting, both you guys. If he were to get a match against Wyatt Hendrickson or Mason Paris, he immediately knows where he is, right? Like, those are the two guys. He's, beaten them both handily in the past, but he's also training MMA. I think he's got a super bright future. The only thing that concerns me about him in MMA is reach. That's why John Jones, among other reasons, is so good, because he can control distance probably better than anybody that's ever fought in their lives. So, but if he's the ability to get in and out of the pocket, be all the way in, all the way out, as we've said with people that have coached that, he's going to be a massive problem for people, because if he gets to a body lock or any sort of leg attack, I mean, I don't know who's stopping him in the world, much less in the MMA world.
And I got one more question for you, Grant, before we get off this topic. Real Woods looked pretty impressive also, from everything I've heard. And I thought the way Bo Bassett's been wrestling, it wasn't going to be all that close with Real Woods. I thought he'd go out and pretty much just gas him, and because Real Woods has not always had that big gas tank. But it doesn't look like that might be happening. Final X, that could turn out to be one heck of a matchup. What do you think?
Well, Real looked really good, very dominant, just really crisp and clean. And I'm gonna butcher the guy's name that he wrestled.
That's my job. That's my job to butcher names on this podcast.
I'm gonna say Ilyasov. So we'll just go with that. Ilyasov.
Does he have a first name? I could use his first name.
Ibrahim,
yeah. Yeah, Ibrahim's good.
Yeah. So I think, that guy's he's not bad either. So and Real Woods looked really good at that one. And like I said, I think it's just I believe that Real Woods at this weight class, once again, has had a lot of volatility for the United States at 65 kg. He has the ability to kind of be, or just stamp his position at this weight class, kind of moving forward, being able to come home with a medal in the last year's World Championships in Croatia has really kind of solidified him as one of those guys. If he goes back-to-back world medals at 65 kg, you would have to go back to like the Bill Zadok era of back-to-back world medals at 65 kg. So we have an opportunity if he goes and beats Bo Bassett at Final X, and he is the representation for the United States going into Astana. If he goes back and gets another medal, that's unprecedented dominance at 65 kg for the United States, which is not far from the realm of possibility.
You're right. And just any of when we say 65, we mean 65, 66, 63 for these people. If anybody wants to pop out and DM us, we're talking about collectively that plus or minus 2 kilos, give or take. 68 was a weight class for a while. So just for people to understand that. And I think guys will probably start previewing Final X next week, because I just think one podcast to cover 20 weights is too many, or 18 weights, whatever it's going to be. So We'll probably do maybe the women's freestyle for one pod and men's freestyle for one, or mix it up. I don't know. But that one is certainly a clash in styles, right? Where kind of have the puncher and the counter puncher. And you probably don't want Real Woods to get on top of you in the middle of the mat. And you probably don't want to get stuck underneath that head pinch in the middle of the mat. Those are two things that could go badly for you. And we do know Bo Bassett will shoot. So, okay, let's get into U20s. Mark, you had a comment before we got on the air about the height of my chair and my family's height. Did you want to go on the air with that, or just?
No, I'm good. No, I'm good, David.
Okay. So 57. We'll start with U20s. There's a lot to cover here, 20s and 23s. So the mini bracket, Gray Burnett was the 1 seed. He beat Aslikian, who took out Locke Weber. He beat Paul Kenny. He had a great match with Ronnie Ramirez, which we're going to get into. Ronnie Ramirez beat Munaredo 4-4, beat Vandermark 9-0. Vandermark had a great win against Antonio Mills. Hayden Schwab had himself a tournament, boys. He beat Zeke Witt, who was like a round of 16, went 2-2 kind of guy at Nationals, went back and forth with Strickenberger. He beat Justin Farnsworth. He lost to Ronnie Ramirez. Then he beat Aslicki, and then he beat Paul Kenny to take third. Gray Burnett beat Ronnie Ramirez in a shot clock match where he lost 2 out of the 3 shot clocks and just went and got one late. I think that's super promising for Penn State. And then Gray Burnett does lose 2 straight to Isaiah Cortez, 5-1, 10-0. Mark, your thoughts on the weight?
Yeah, I mean, I think I picked him to win the weight just because I coached his dad, Scotty. So I thought he was impressive. He wrestles a lot like Scotty wrestles, very dominant on his feet, constant pressure, just wants to make it a kind of a street fight. But yeah, the positions he got into, which he scored on, was something that Scotty used to like to do also, where he gets around his waist and then the guy puts a whizzer in, and then he was able to work his way around. I think he ended up putting the leg in, didn't he, Dave?
He put a boot in, but I mean, I'm not saying he didn't use a technique from his father, but he just flurried. And there's a lot of guys that flurry and don't create a scoreable scramble. And he created a scoreable scramble when everybody in the gym, including Ramirez, what he's trying to do. And when those are the guys, when you have a fastball, when you can just get to a scramble, those are the guys that can win close matches. Yep. So I thought that was a huge upside for him and for Penn State. And just Mark, because we are going to keep our wings track, I did pick Cortez to win the weight, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. GT, thoughts on the weight? I get on, Cortez, by the way, going to Cornell. Gray Burnett is committed to Penn State. I highly would guess Hayden Schwab goes to Northern Iowa. Paul Kenny's Iowa. Ronnie Ramirez is Oklahoma State. I guess the other thing to bring up here is Ronnie Ramirez is down at 57 kilos, which is 125.4. And so he's now not behind Jax Forrest. He's now behind Troy Spratley. I think that weight's worth bringing up because they have Troy Spratley, Ronnie Ramirez, and Zinkin. And then the next year, Spratley leaves and Ignacio comes in. And none of those guys really have a place to move up to. So, and all these guys are going to be ranked like number 1 in the country at their weight class the year they graduated. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep these guys all happy. Your thoughts on 57 kgs and or Oklahoma State, GT?
Well, I think there was a comment of like, I think I was watching either Willie Saylor talk about kind of the U23 process and or who gets to be representation on the U23 team if you weren't at the Geneva tournament. So I think Spratley wrestled extremely well. If you look at the bracket, there's a lot of great, like kind of close matches. You got a couple of guys in here that just big time names that you'd be like, oh, well, I know who that is.
That's right.
But if you go and watch Spratley's run, specifically at that, it was very dominant.
You got 11-0, right?
11-0 10-0, 6-0, 11-0, 11-0, like not just winning matches, but being dominant in those matches. So, and even in the finals, just going 10 rip, 10 rip. So I think it's worthy of note that that's a tough weight class, and Spratley dominated. But he's not going to be the U23 representative in Vegas this fall because Luke Lillidahl is going to be at Final X against Spencer Lee, and he would have the opportunity to have that spot if he does. But since U23s and seniors are back to back, I don't know who's going to be that representative.
So let's walk through that. You bring up a great point. Troy Spratley is rooting for Luke Lillidahl to beat Spencer Lee because he doesn't probably go back to back. He goes to the senior world, and then Spratley gets the U23 spot, and Spencer's the alternate. If Spencer wins, then Luke's going to take the U23 spot. Is that fair?
I believe it will go to Knox.
Knox would get the U23. Oh, because he was third.
Because he's the senior level national team member at that weight class.
Okay. So either way, like that was the case at another weight too. I think it was 97 or whatever. We'll talk about it.
Once again, just wanted to bring that up for the people that listen to the pod. Like there's a lot that goes on there. And once again, I wasn't referencing, the U20 one. I was more on the U23 side because that's a little bit closer to my lens, I should say.
Yeah.
But I think just having that out there as far as the process for everybody to understand who can make what teams at what weight classes, it all starts with the senior level. And if you're a top 3 national team member, then you have the ability to take that, take that spot.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I also think stock up for Cornell, right? Isaiah Cortez, he did the gray shirt year. We're all prisoners of the moment, right? You just kind of forget about people. Like, I think he's going to be really good. It's also interesting, right? Because Knox was supposed to go there, right? And now he's at Rutgers. So now Isaiah Cortez and Knox both get a chance to wrestle, this coming year. I don't know who would have won. Obviously, I think Cornell thought Knox would have won or they wouldn't have recruited him so hard. But Cortez is in. Oklahoma State's in good hands. Northern Iowa's future looks really bright. Mark, Burnett's going to be a senior, or does he graduate?
I think he's going to be a senior this year.
So it kind of works out, like he might sit 1 year, which it was like, where like you would have a red shirt. Now he might only get 4 out of 5, but kind of a good problem to have, right? And they also have Landon Sidden come in. So it may be that Gray Burnett's going to get up to 133, which is what I remember Scotty Burnett being when he was at
Iowa Central.
Central. Pretty good number,
He'll probably be a 33-pounder. He's built a lot like his dad.
Yeah. So
Sidden's awfully good. I mean, he's a big,
and he's short. His dad's super short.
I don't think he's going to outgrow 25, which is really a nice problem for Penn State to have.
That's right. Very good problem. Okay. Let's go to 61 because we also got to try to get to you. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to get to U23, so we may have to do another podcast. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So this was the Aaron Seidel show. Seidel beats Collins, beats Worcester, Tech Falls, Carter Pearson. Carter Pearson had a nice run. Beat Patero. He beat Dean Anderson. I was wrong there. But we both picked Seidel. Mark, I don't think there's a lot really to cover here except that freaking Aaron Seidel is really good at wrestling and is going to score a ton of bonus points.
Yep.
GT, I mean, just for the sake of keeping things moving, I don't think there's a whole lot here to add, right?
No, just that he's just really tough. He's just really tough.
That's right. Yeah. And I mean, I think, we talk about teams, Virginia Tech, right? Like Eddie Ventresca, 6th, 7th year senior, then Seidel, then Bo Bassett, then Caleb Henson. Then you have Noah Ninninger or Colin Guy. And they both had really good tournaments here. That's your first 5. You still have a Ryan Burton. You still have a Sergio DiCianti. You still have a Sonny Sasso. You still have a Jimmy Mullen. Like, this is a team that is going to be in title or trophy contendership, if that's a word, contending. And Mark, you were GT, you were the one that told me about this. We're sitting at Pan Am. You're like, what about VTech, bro? And you're like, that's absolutely right. Like, I'm just not used to thinking about them in this conversation. I'm used to thinking about Penn State, Oklahoma State, Iowa, Nebraska, and Iowa State to a lesser extent. But they're going to be in there at this level. Okay, let's go to 65. So Bo Bassett took out Clinton Shepard quick. This was an interesting bracket because Wolbert was the 1 seed. Mark, who do we pick here to make the finals? I don't think either one of us picked Clinton Shepard. I think maybe one of us picked a Craker and one of us picked Herring.
Yes.
So, but Clinton Shepard, coached by Andrew Howe and John Morrison, he takes out Wolbert 12-7 and then beats DeCraker 6-6. DeCraker beats Kickanoo 4-3. Shepard beat Wolbert 12-7. Wolbert came back and took 3rd. But, I mean, this is Bo Bassett, his 3rd world team. Well, 2nd world team and 2nd and a half world team. He's in Final X. But he will do U20s, and then he will do U23s or seniors, right?
That's what I would guess, is that he'd choose one of those. I mean, if he did beat Real Woods, I don't think he'd wrestle U23s. I don't think a week is enough time to do the travel and get ready. But Bo's the kind of guy that likes to wrestle every weekend if he can. He likes to get the matches in, so who knows?
Yeah, and GT, maybe either one of you guys want to comment on this. How important is U23s being in America, like going to influence these guys? Like, on one hand, you're like, I want to wrestle in this. Maybe I'll never wrestle at a world event again. I mean, I guess that's not true because of seniors in 27 and Olympics in 28. But if you miss those 2, it might be a long window before they come back versus an acclimation camp and everything to get ready for the worlds. And Grant, maybe you know this. When they go to the worlds, the senior worlds, is men's freestyle first or last there? Do you know?
In the U.S.?
No, the one in Kazakhstan in 26, sorry.
I don't know the schedule. I believe it'll be a freestyle end. For sure in America, it'll be a freestyle end.
Right. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is if it's freestyle end for U23s and you get done on Saturday or Sunday, you have to get a plane on Monday. Your body's got to acclimate to a massive time change. And then you got to keep your weight down and everything else. I just don't know how doable it is. So, but anyway, I mean, this is sort of Bo Bassett next topic. And I think this is where, even if you don't think Seidel's going to win it, even if you don't think Bassett's going to win it, those guys could take 3rd or 4th. And Seidel bonused Mark, I think, every match but Blaze and the one he lost, obviously.
Yep.
A ton of bonus. And it feels like Bo Bassett's that kind of guy too, right? Like, he may lose to somebody, he may not, but it feels like he's going to bonus a lot of guys on the way through.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're a VTech fan, the future's super bright. Okay, 70. This is a great story to talk about. Melvin Miller beats Cardinal, has a tough match with Buzakis, a really tough match with Seth Mendoza. Buzakis comes back and takes 3rd. Nice to see him wrestling the way we kind of expected him to. And then Landon Robideau took him out 2 straight, 5-0, 12-0. Now, to be fair, Melvin had to wrestle 3-4 matches before that. I talked to a friend of mine. I think Landon Robideau might be my biggest surprise of the entire year from October. And I only say that because in October, I knew that Jax was going to go wrestle in the NCAAs. And as much as Sergio Vega is a massive surprise and probably a bigger surprise at Nationals because he beat, this is my opinion, but beat Mendez, didn't give up a takedown the whole year. Robideau had the controversial match with PJ Duke. Landon Robidell has been boat racing dudes all spring and summer, and he is more and more feeling like a solid favorite to repeat at 157. My buddy said he doesn't really cut much weight, so it's not like, it's not going to outgrow the weight. I mean, Oklahoma State's lineup is absurd when we get to the next weight. But, Mark, I guess, go first here. Your thoughts on Robidell, Melvin. I also think stock up for Seth Mendoza, right? Like, he was a guy we thought we might see last year at 41 because they moved Josh Edmond up to 49, and they miscalculated his weight. So then they did the right thing and redshirted him. But I think he's going to be at 49 and going to be a fairly strong All-American candidate, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's been as impressive as anybody I've seen all year long. The run he made to go through the national tournament, because he had a lot of close matches during the year. Even in the Big 12s, he had some close matches. And to go to the national tournament.
He split with Larkin, just for you to make your point.
You go to the national tournament then and beat PJ Duke, win the finals against the returning national champ, and then
avenge your Big 12 loss to Larkin in the quarters.
Yeah. And then go to this tournament and wrestle the quality of the guys that he had to wrestle when he wrestled in the Open.
Yes, yeah.
To win the Open, and then turn around and win 2 straight over Melvin Miller, who we all think is going to be really, really good. He's got a little ways to go yet. He's going to, up a level without a doubt once he gets into college. Yeah, I was impressed. He's one of those guys you don't want to pick because you think, well, he can't keep doing this. You just can't. He's not that good. But I think he is that good.
I think so too. Yeah. GT, your thoughts on this? Like, were you surprised? I mean, Mark, did we both pick Robidell? I can't even remember now.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think I picked him to wrestle Mendez in the finals, not Melvin Miller.
I'm up 2. Okay.
I don't think you picked Melvin Miller either.
I did pick him over Mendoza. I know that.
You sure, David?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. You really want wings, don't you?
It's part of my keto. Go ahead, Grant.
What a line. What a line right there. It's a part of my keto.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, besides the keto diet and all the other things that we have going on, I think to your point, Landon Robidell, when he had his collegiate season, I think we all just didn't know what we had in him as you kind of watched him come out as a freshman, right? So, and I think we got to see him very early at NDI and have some really tough matches coming right out the gate. You could probably venture to say that he's had probably one of the best seasons and then spring/summers so far of all of those other guys outside of potentially Jax for Oklahoma State.
I 100% agree. And I think your point, because I was sitting with you at NDI, is super, coherent. Like, so to go back to that, he beat Cardenas right off the jump. Then he beat Jackson Arrington. He didn't have the hardest NDI because he wrestled Voinovich and then a backup from Nebraska. But then, he loses to Antrell. Then he beats Teague Travis. He beats Vinny Zerbin. Now we're starting to become believers. He pins. Then he beats Ethan Miller in a close one. He beats Jordan Williams. He beats Majors Teague Travis. He got good. I think we thought, he lost to Larkin. Okay. And then he goes to the NCAAs and he beats in order Gavin Drexler, Charlie Millard, Caleb Larkin, PJ Duke, Antrell Taylor. Larkin was in overtime. Duke was in overtime. So here's one of the things too, I think that helped him. He was not the face of this, right? Like Jax was the face of this. And then Vega being undefeated was the face of this. And like Robidell got to fly under the radar, which is very helpful. It happened to me the first year I won state. We had a returning state champion on the team and like no one was talking about me. And maybe ego-wise, you wish they were, but in terms of pressure-wise, it's really helpful. So I think he's going to be a pretty substantial favorite. I mean, I think it depends who Penn State wrestles at 57, because they could wrestle. I mean, they could wrestle Jaden James. They could wrestle Tyler Kasak. I mean, I bet you Mitchell Messenbrink could make it. I mean, they're good, maybe even a Joe Seeley, but, I still think at this point, unless it's Messenbrink, I would pick Messenbrink over Rabideau. I would pick Rabideau very closely over Jaden James, which we're going to get to in a minute here. You guys disagree with that, or?
I think PJ Duke could probably be back at 57, and I'm not sure I would take him over PJ Duke.
That part's fair. I don't think he'll be there, but that's fair. Okay, 74. Lockett beats Haken Peterson and beats Cody Rutledge's teammate. Cody Rutledge beat Will Denny, and then Max Crossan, and then Lockett loses 2 straight to Jaden James. Both of them really close matches, 5-4, 4-2. Jaden James got teched by Ladarian the year before. Shout out to the KD Training Center singlets by our sponsors and good friends at Nike. Looking slick out there, GT. And the Cowboy RTC singlets also. By the way, the Cowboy RTC singlets are some of my favorites. Those are super cool. So,
Love it.
Nike does a terrible job designing things clearly, but got one right. So,
Thank you.
part of my keto. So
It's all part of my keto.
Oh, Jesus.
ice cream skillets and chocolate chip cookies, GT.
Love it.
To me, Jaden's one of the big stories here, right? Because, like I've heard people on other pods go, okay, now Jaden becomes a guy because of this 5-for-5 rule. You got to get him in the lineup. Like he would have been like kind of an ideal redshirt at 65, right? You wrestle Kasak, you wrestle Messenbrink or Duke in some order, and the other guy at 74. And I don't know with Joe Seeley. I don't know with Jaden James. I mean, you got 5 guys for 3 weights. Also, Jaden James's brother is a football player, so I eventually think Jaden James is going to be 74, 84. I think.
And Dave, you're leaving Henkel out, and he's legit.
No, okay.
He's good. He's good enough to start for Penn State. He's a stud. So
Yeah.
I mean, they got
He lost
MJ.
He lost MJ Gaitan twice. So I'm talking. You're right, and he's probably on that Joe Seeley level. I think the other guys I mentioned are all possible title contenders. I think Duke's a title contender. I think James a title contender. Messenbrink is calling him a title contender is an insult to him.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tyler
You're right.
Kasak's placed twice in the top 4. So anyway, GT, your thoughts on Jaden James? And he's 17, guys. He's 17. So he's not a holdback. So you can be really good without holding back. So Grant, you want to go first here?
Yeah, I think probably one of the things that most people are probably in the I would say the same camp is Jaden James also at the World Team Trials handily beat Michael Caliendo, who had been the clear cut, basically number 2 ranked guy the past 2 years at the NCAA collegiate level. Outside of maybe, a loss to Joey Blaze and some other,
for
very,
sure
very,
he's the number 2 guy. Yes.
but you look at that and you look at what Jaden James was able to wrestle and beat Caliendo, would say probably with little effort. It looked that way. It looked effortless because beating Michael Caliendo takes a lot of effort, but he made it look a lot easier than a lot of other guys could have. So I think there's a lot of hype around Jaden as he's a 17-year-old. He's going to Penn State. He's got all of this hype and clout behind him, beating off, all of these other guys in succession. But I mean, Kale and company have a humongous problem, which we've discussed. There's so many guys and not enough spots. So I think being able to see those guys, find out where they're all going to be located at is going to be a problem. But I think the hype behind James is real. He has arrived. He is going to be a problem for the collegiate side of things, and he's going to be a monster on the international level heading into 2027 and 2028 if he's already at this peak.
He's a guy that has to be a contender for the 74 kg spot. Like, he's not a favorite, but he wrestled David Carr to a point or two. He beat Quincy Monday, beat Joe Seeley. And you talk about roster problems. How about Oklahoma State at this weight, right? Casey Swiderski moved up and looked really good at U23s. Facundo is moving down. And then you have D, and then you have Cody Rutledge. Like, Cody Rutledge needs to get out of there. Like, he's a round of 16 guy at worst. He's a 6, 7, 8 guy, I think, realistically, if in the right environment. So, I mean, some of these lineups are stacked in a crazy way. I mean, when we get through Final X, I think we'll start talking about rosters and stuff. But that part's absurd. Marco, anything else before we jump over here?
Yeah, he's world class as a high school kid coming into college. Jaden is. He's got one of the nastiest duck unders. The other kid that does have one of those is Carr. Carr has one of those duck unders that you just don't see it coming, and he's just behind you. Jaden James does the same thing. He's got such a good duck. Doesn't even touch your body. He just goes and you fall on your face because his pressure is so good. And he's really hard to score on. You can get in on his legs, but you can't finish. He must have really good hips because he kept Caliendo got in a couple times and he had him on his stomach each time he got in. So, yeah, it's impressive.
He has exceptional feel. I did text Brian Stoll, who's his coach at Del Barton. And GT, you and I talked about this. I've had the blessing of watching Jaden James in person for 4 years. 3 years at the Hall of Fame duels, 1 year at Fab 50. Got to go to a duel when Willie took me out there to watch them wrestle Sem. And you do sort of get attached to kids that have been a part of events or things you do. Like, I think you're like me, you root for everybody, but, guys that are to Nike, you tend to root for a little more. I mean, that's part of your business. So he's a really quiet kid, a really yes or no sir kind of kid. You got to wish him well. Mark, you and I both pick Lockett to win, so we're still even, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this weight, bonkers. Heiser makes it to the finals of the mini bracket. Joseph Jeter, who I think I called this one exactly right, Mark. I had him lose. Well, actually, I was wrong. I had him losing to Heiser.
Yeah.
But he beats Emmett Sherlock close. Gutty match, beats Mario Carini. I know he wanted that match really bad because he was ranked behind Mario Carini in the 175 final rankings. He's losing 12-4 or 10-2 to Heiser. He gets chest pinched over the top for 2 and then holds him there, hip heist down, gets a half Nelson, gets the fall to pin Heiser. It is the right call. It's continuation. You guys all know that, but for people that don't understand, the match doesn't immediately stop once Mark is up 10 on me. So, and then Jeter loses 2 straight to Burton, which was kind of expected, frankly, because he went through a meat grinder to get there, wrestled, didn't have any tech falls, anything. He wrestled Burton really close the first match. I think the second match, just the day got to him. But another Virginia Tech guy, that's on a world team. They had 3 guys make a world team. Joseph Jeter is going to go to Cornell. He was planning on doing the Finger Lakes thing. That's going to get really tricky, guys, because I know Jeter really well. I've been in his corner. I know his dad, know the family. He has good enough grades to actually get into Cornell, but didn't apply. So, because they were just going to do this Finger Lakes thing. So, I'm going to be interested to see how this all shakes out. Like, he may be like an August acceptance kind of thing. And, they've got, who am I drawing the blank on? Who is the kid that was the number 2 seed for Cornell at 174? You guys remember?
Simon Ruiz.
Simon Ruiz. Thank you. So, I don't know if he's good enough to be Simon Ruiz or if Simon Ruiz will go to 84. I don't know their whole lineup by heart, but it is going to be interesting. Yeah. Mark, your thoughts on 79?
Yeah, I mean, we both picked Burton to win it. I have not seen Burton wrestle that much, but he's really talented. I think he is going to be in the hunt to be an All-American next year for Virginia Tech, and I'd probably put him in the range of 4 to 8. I don't think he cracks the top 3 yet, but he's legit. And then talking about Jeter, the 5 for 5, I'm not 100% sure, David, what they're going to do with the gray shirt if you don't start college right away, if you still got 5 years, if the age thing doesn't pass, because I don't think he has to be a full-time student at Finger Lake to go gray shirt, and he might have 5 years after that. We don't know. Now, we know the Ivies only let him wrestle for 4, so he'd be a transfer after that 4th year, and I don't think the Ivy's going to change their rules for anybody. So
it's funny, though, coaches are telling kids they're going to change them, but I think that's all part of the sales process. I agree with you.
And it might. Yeah.
So, guys, here's who's coming back at 174, barring weight changes. But I think most of these guys are coming back. Minto, Steed, Wask, Mantanona, Gaitan plays 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And then your round of 12 guys were Simon Ruiz, Matt Singleton, Colin Kelly, Carter Schubert. I feel like GT and Mark, I guess GT, because we haven't talked about this weight, I feel like Ryan Burton fits in pretty comfortably in that round of 12 sort of guys. And I mean, we don't have an Oklahoma State guy here. And obviously they would work on improving that. They have Facundo, but it looks like they may upgrade there. But it feels like Mark's right. And Bo Mantanona and Danny Wask are not incredibly consistent. Neither was Cam Steed. I mean, I feel like Burton's ceiling is 2nd and his basement is maybe like round of 12, which is a massive range. But
yeah, but let's go back to, you don't have a Penn State guy in there yet, and we know they're going to be absolutely loaded at 74, whoever they decide to wrestle.
That's right.
Then you got Gabe Arnold at Iowa, who placed at 197.
No, that's
down at 74. So
and who do we think Oklahoma State's going to have here? The kid from Lorenzo Norman, right?
Yeah, I'd say probably.
Yeah. So then it does feel like maybe he's a 4 through 12 guy, because some of these other guys probably push down a little bit. Is that how you see it, GT? We haven't let you talk about this weight yet. I apologize.
Well, I mean, this is interesting. I don't know. Cam Steed being like a 2-time All-American at that weight class, I feel like he's kind of solidified in that. MJ Gaitan was a 2-time round of 12, finally got on the stand this year. This weight class has a little bit more volatility than I would say previously. Having basically Levi Haynes vacate. But these freshmen seem to have a lot of stuff figured out when they make their actual seasonal debuts. So I mean, I wouldn't put anything past anybody to be able to be an All-American. You probably have at least 16 guys that could potentially be on the stand, and I think that he's probably a 1 through 16 type athlete. I don't think he's a bottom half of the bracket. I think he's going to be seeded at the NCAA tournament coming up. So I think I'd put him in the 1 through 16 seed area.
For sure. And Chris Minto is really freaking good, man. He lost to Nolf, but he kind of he lateral dropped himself there. GT was winning that match. I mean, kind of circle back to Raf. So
yeah, I mean, Minto is a proper 74 too. So I think he's going to be a problem for a lot of people in the nation. And I think that also if some of that Matt freestyle awareness potentially against, who's an extremely high level performing athlete in Jason Nolf. I haven't followed Christian Minto's freestyle career as much as his folk style career, but there's a big difference in that exposure because he, just made a kind of a bonehead mistake there.
Well, the reason why you haven't followed his freestyle career is there hasn't been much. You're on it. There wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark knows I'm a Minto guy. He was the guy that whenever he was a freshman, Mark, I was telling you all year, we're putting this guy on our team. We're putting this guy on our team. So I I'm wrong about a lot of things, so I have to tell you when I was right. Okay, so Aaron Stewart here goes by. Tech Fall loses to Waylon Kressel. Kind of the story of this bracket was a couple things. Mikey White got killed by this Watson kid 10-0 in a minute 14. And then Watson had Mantanona beat. And I don't know if they didn't throw the right brick, the wrong brick, didn't brick. The referees got it wrong, but Mantanona wins that match 13-13, but it shouldn't have been that. And then he beats Kressel 10-10. I will say Brock Mantanona's got a lot of dog in him, ability to come back and not panic when he's down. And that's a weight where all 8 guys are returning, sort of minus Zach Ryder and plug in Bennett Berge in the college scene. And then Aiden Sinclair took care of business, 6-0, 10-0. I mean, I think Aiden Sinclair's got to be a massive favorite here, GT, to medal at the U20s, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great representation. I think that's a really good spot for the U.S. to bring home a medal.
And we'll get more into this when we get closer, but I mean, obviously we hope and pray all these guys medal, but some of them have way more credentials. Mark, I think Sinclair might have been quietly the guy you thought would win the Nationals, and you just kind of had a terrible draw with having to wrestle Angelo in the quarters. Like there were really 4 good guys, and he was going to have to wrestle 3 of them, and Rocco only really had to wrestle 1 of them, which, kind of made it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about that, but there should have been 2 on each side of the bracket.
Yeah, I thought Sinclair, he had the most offense of any of the 84-pounders last year. That's a big thing in my eye, is that if you can go out and score points, because everybody else was winning by riding time, overtime, not really doing a heck of a lot, where Sinclair was going out and beating guys solidly, even guys that, the returning the national champ from Minnesota. He beat him pretty good the first time they wrestled. So in the duel. So that was,
You mean McAnally?
Yeah.
Yeah, GT and I were live for that. That was, he's super impressive. So I think good for Mizzou, putting a guy on the team. It's good for recruiting for them. Okay, 92. The other thing is, I think quickly, Mikey White got beat badly. And I think you kind of wonder, okay, now is he comfortable sitting for a year? Because I think he's going to sit for a year, behind Berge. So, I heard, Mark, I think you and I both listen to this fantasy football channel. You obviously do a lot better with that when it comes to actually playing our teams. But we both listen. But if they have an incumbent player and they bring in a new guy, they probably think the new guy's better, or they wouldn't have brought him in.
Yeah. So,
there's something to that. Okay. All right. 92. Jimmy Masney beats Carson Tompkins in the 2 out of 3. He's another young guy. I don't think either one of us picked Carson Tompkins, right? I think I picked
Waters.
You picked Waters and I picked Jip.
Yeah.
Okay. So Branson John took 3rd. Jip went 0-1 or 0-2. Waters went 2-1. I think the size caught up to him, Mark. Him beating Branson John, who's a Division I All-American, is a huge first-round win.
Yep.
I think that's a good sign for Ohio State. But I think Jimmy Masney, I don't know how well. So Mark, Grant, you're our Iowa State guy. This is a really good recruit, for him. He does a lot of work with Chris Perry. You can tell he's an Illinois kid. He's kind of limited right now. He doesn't have a full set of offense. He's also super young. He's only going to get better. I'm always impressed by guys that don't have a full repertoire yet and find a way to win. To me, it shows sign of super high wrestling IQ and grit, for lack of a better word. Hey, you might know more moves than me, but I'm going to figure out how to win this match. And I think Jimmy Masney has that in spades.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of once again, we're still talking about U20 athletes, right? So there's a lot of growth technically, physically, that can happen for a lot of these guys. There's not very many, Kobe Merrills that exist in the world that like pretty much he's a 99 percentile in like strength. I don't think he's going to grow much more. So taking some of that into consideration as the U20s, I think Iowa State picked up a really good one here. And I think also if you look at kind of finding different ways to win, there is that kind of gamer or, like clutch gene that sometimes happens for kids where they just kind of figure out how to be able to get it done. I think there's a lot of that development that kind of goes on in an athlete's head. So I think it's a really, really good win. And I think it's going to be a good weight class for us.
Grant, do you think he'll be 84 or 97?
You asking me or GT?
For college?
Yeah.
If I were to say right now, I would say he'd probably go to 97. Just from the standpoint that I think getting into maybe a collegiate space, being a kind of a more athletic weight or a wrestler, I think he would do very well at 97. But I do know that the Iowa State guys, they do a good job of getting people to a lower weight class. You've seen that over the years with all these guys kind of being able to cut some additional weight to get to where they want to be able to have them.
Yeah.
And once again, I don't know what Jimmy wants to do with that. So
my guess,
Brayton from Oklahoma State transferred in. Is he going to be 74 or 84, David? Do you know?
Can I answer the first question and then the second?
Sure.
I think for sure Masney's 97 because he's a high school junior. Okay. So like, I think you give him another year. I think he's only going to fill out just natural testosterone. He's kind of he's not ripped up right now, but he's wrestling. He might not be cutting a pound to make 202, 204, whatever it is. Okay. And so, but not cutting a pound to make 202 or 4 and then cutting to 84 is a big difference. And I think the prevailing mindset for most people is let's not have these kids cut weight. Let's help them get better at wrestling. And I definitely don't think he's going to cut weight his senior year in high school. There's absolutely no reason to. Like he'll probably go 215. I mean, I guess if he goes 189, then it becomes more of a question. But I would guess BT, I'd have to look at Iowa State's lineup, which I can't on WrestleStat. But let me see if I can just get to that real quick because that's a good question. Profile, school team profiles, Iowa State.
I think they got a Barrett. Is it Barrett at 97, Grant?
Yep. Sawyer Barrett.
Sawyer Bartell.
Bartell, yeah.
Bartell, he's from Florida, right?
Oh, no, wait. We're stupid. MJ Gaitan's at 74. Brayton Thompson's at 84.
Okay.
Here's their proposed lineup on WrestleStat. It's Aiden Smith at 25, Garrett Grice at 33, Frost 41, Frost 49. They have Nocturne at 57. I have to think that that's Panero or the other Frost, whichever way. Connor Uten 65, MJ Gaitan 74, Brayton Thompson 84, Carson Floyd 97, and Kobe Merrill heavyweight. So, I mean, I think that solidifies things. Like Brayton Thompson's got a couple years left if he pans out the way they think he will. I mean, the other option is MJ Gaitan's a senior, I think, this year. And if Brayton Thompson feels like 84 was too high, he could obviously go down. I think that maybe we're putting the cart before the horse here. This kid's really good. He won matches. He figured out a way to get on a world team. He's only going to get better. Like maybe we just let him enjoy that and not overanalyze it.
Yeah.
Okay. 213, 97 kilos. I picked Konopka. Mark picked Carter Brown. 2 picks guaranteed to be wrong. Kozinski wins the mini tournament and loses 2 straight to Boyle. I watched Boyle wrestle in Vegas. Mark, you did too. He's a beast. I think for sure he goes to heavyweight. He's an Ohio State recruit from Ohio. I think for sure, like he's big, like he's strong now, but he's tall. I think he goes to 97 and is a massive recruit. I mean, it's completely dominant. So I'm not really sure there's a lot to talk about here. You guys want to add anything? Because I know we want to have a conversation about 125.
No, I'm good here.
GT?
No. Once again, tough weight class. Looking forward to seeing what these guys do on the next stage.
I think Michael Boyle's going to be a freaking handful. Okay, 125, which is 275. Drayshawn pins Dean Bechtold. Mike Mako. Tech falls Jay Henderson. Drayshawn techs Mako. And then Kobe Merrill takes down and laces up Drayshawn. And then Drayshawn wins 9-2, 7-1. I don't know what the head count is on this. I think it was 5 or 6-0 Drayshawn going into Vegas, and then it was 5 or 6-1. Now it's 5 or 6-2, 7 and it's 7 or 8-2. Bottom line, Drayshawn makes the team. You saw genuine joy from him. Most of the time, people are genuinely excited. It means there's at least a little bit of self-doubt. And certainly to come, this was the only finals series that went 2 out of 3. So I thought that was really interesting. Mark, I know you picked Drayshawn. It doesn't. I think I did too, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think the reason is because Drayshawn, I don't think Merrill ever took him down until this tournament. He was able to get in on a single, and then he got right to the lace, and that was it. So, but Drayshawn is able to get the legs when he has to get to them. He did hold center of the mat a lot better. He didn't get pushed around. That was a big difference between the Open and this tournament. I think that really helped him because he was winning going into the second in the first round with Cody or Kobe.
Kobe. And we got to get that right.
That's right, Kobe. So he was winning after the first, period, and then got taken down on leg lace, and that was it. So I just think he's so athletic, but Kobe is so big and strong, and he does have a good shot. I mean, he can get to your legs. He took down Michigan's national champ from 3 years ago. Yeah, he took Paris down.
Also Olympian.
Yeah. So, I mean, he does have some things on his feet, but he got tired. And I think that's just because he's so big. And, Ross was able to keep coming at him. Wasn't pretty at times, but he kept coming at him, and then he ran him off the mat. Sometimes he scored the 2, and sometimes he got the 1. But, yeah, I'm real happy for him. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
Works really hard. He's going to be a threat next year at the national tournament.
I think we talked about it. GT, you and I talked about it privately at Pan Am's. And we texted Earl. This is a weight that you almost never pick a freshman to place very high, and there's 2 here. And if you count Cade Ziola as a redshirt freshman, 3 guys that we think on a good day could win the tournament, okay, which is almost unheard of at this weight. Also, first name Mark brought up a very good point. I wonder if any family secrets were – I wonder if Cody Merrill helped Drayshawn scout Kobe Merrill. I mean, that's an interesting thought, So, but your thoughts on Drayshawn going through? I think Drayshawn's a massive medal favorite at this weight class. And also think Drayshawn is going to have an absolutely stellar career, or his body won't hold up just based on previous injuries. And I don't root against anybody, but I root for certain kids. And I've spoken to his dad. I've dealt with the kid a little bit when we're trying to put matches together, a complete yes or no sir kind of kid, to reiterate what Mark is saying. So I hope it's the former and not the latter. But your thoughts on Drayshawn, this tournament, and on his ability or potential to place at the Worlds here?
Well, I think you're seeing kind of the future of the weight class really with this new kind of freshman group. Haven't necessarily seen a lot of that as it kind of goes through the years, but I think you're going to see a lot of Merrill and Ross and Mako and Ziola.
Maybe Sahaki and maybe Jay Henderson.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are on their way to kind of that cultural relevance at the NCAA level, where you're getting a lot more of that. It's out of high school. You're representing colleges. You're still going to be kind of representing Team USA, but I'm very excited to see like kind of what all of these guys start to become as they kind of progress in their wrestling career and then representing their new locations at the collegiate level.
Yeah. I think that recruiting class, like we talked about, right? And there's like a kid out of Missouri that hasn't panned out yet, but had a ton of credentials. But it is a changing of the guard. And, you know, some weight classes, you see it like we saw it this year, 133, right, guys, with Davino, Jax, Seidel, 157 with Larkin, Landon Robideau, PJ Duke. The interesting thing is I think both of those weight classes, we think these guys will eventually separate, right? Like Robideau's the smallest one. Caleb Larkin's never going to weigh 157 pounds ever again.
His brother might.
His brother does right now.
Yeah, he runs 33, so he'll probably be their starter at 57 next year. Wouldn't surprise me.
Fair point. Joking aside, what's interesting about heavyweight is these guys aren't going anywhere, right? Like I personally think Mike Mako would be better with 20 more pounds because he gets pushed around by these guys. And they don't know if he's more skilled because we just don't really have time to figure it out, you know? So I think it's fascinating. I mean, we're super myopic and patriotic about we think all of our guys can win gold medals, and we should think that way. But I do think as we get closer, we'll do a deeper drill down dive, whatever you want to call it, not only what we think, but who the potential matchups are to look out for. And GT, you've been to a lot of these tournaments. It's way more like your draw is way more random because it's not like seniors where you can accumulate points, right? Like the vast majority of these guys from all the countries, it's their first, maybe second age group world team, especially maybe the guy made a U17 team and now he's making a U20 for the first time as an example. So
yeah, you're going to get maybe a little bit of that from the other countries where they were the U15, the U17, the U20 representative heading into maybe a U23 where they're going to have some separational points out because they could be the guy for Moldova or Romania or whoever it is. So they could be that heir apparent to the senior throne as they have been able to represent their country multiple times on the world stage where some of the U.S. athletes have not had that opportunity.
For sure. So we'll talk about that. Mark, if you're free on, well, maybe tomorrow, if it works, because I'm getting on a train on Thursday, would love to do U23s. I think U23s are interesting because there's a lot more college, like it's all college guys.
Yeah.
Like some of the best kids we talked about here still have a year left in high school. Some of these guys just graduated from high school, like a Merrill, like a Drayshawn. Like we know where they're going, but still we haven't seen them in a college singlet yet. So if you have time tomorrow, would love to do that. I think it's good for people that love their team but aren't nerds, like, and I say that as a compliment, like we are, and so like I think the Cortez brothers, like we didn't mention the one that lost to Seidel, but like Cornell's in good hands at 133.
Yeah.
Maybe he can't beat Seidel, but it doesn't mean he can't be an All-American.
I do have one question for Grant that I wanted to ask him. The third ranking series, which relates to freestyle, is this coming weekend, I think.
That's right.
But I haven't seen a list of any of the United States wrestlers who may be going over there trying to collect points. Do you know where that's at? And have you heard of anybody that's going?
No. So the third ranking series is located in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. So it's not necessarily the easiest location in order to get to. So you're probably not going to see a lot of the number ones or even the number twos because within the next 2 weeks, you're going to be coming back and trying to represent Team USA.
Yeah.
So, and once again, national team isn't necessarily solidified for Team USA, where this would be one of their opportunities to go and compete on, like, let's say USA Wrestling sends them there to accrue points. You're more than likely going to see a lot more of the athletes go to Europe probably in July in Budapest for the last and final ranking series in order to get some points, or some international friendly competitions that maybe just getting matches in. So you're probably not going to see a lot of maybe USA athletes competing in Mongolia. You may see a few, but there hasn't been a list of USA Wrestling putting out who's all in attendance for that individual ranking series. So you'll see a lot of the Asian qualifiers, probably some European athletes that are going to make their way over there. But you probably won't see a lot of the Pan American teams in attendance in Mongolia.
All right.
I think that's a good point. Like, again, like people have to prioritize things, right? Like you talk to these college coaches, like we're sending kids here, we're sending kids here, we're sending kids there. And I think most people are like, like Luke Lillidow and Spencer Lee, just to give are not going to the Mongolia event to get points. Like they're getting ready to wrestle each other. And so I think none of the Final X guys or women you'll see at that tournament. So maybe it's different. Maybe it's different for Greco because our world team's set, right? Like maybe some of those guys go. So we'll certainly discuss the results, especially pertinent to America. I think next week we'll start previewing Final X because I think it's going to take a while. GT, we talked about this off air. I don't understand it. I'm sure there's a reason, but the 92 kilo Mike Mock Heidley is going to be 6 days before Final X, not after Final X, in Chantilly, Virginia, just so people are aware of it. It'll be some separate live stream and everything else. I don't know there's much to comment on there. And then, guys, Ty Walls is coming back to Virginia Tech. So that's the Jared Hott swap out. So basically Hott is out and Walls is in. And then, as we talked about before, JG is in. So they got a big guy. They had a guy, and he's one of their guys. So interesting to see. But Virginia Tech's going to be a team we're going to be talking about a lot. And they're a Nike school. So we love our friends at Athlete PS. We love Matt Bergmeyer. We love Grant Turner. We love Shane. We love Eddie. So we appreciate those guys supporting the pod. We appreciate you guys. Very good chance if we work it out, Mark and I will be back tomorrow to review U23s. If we're not, I just want to tell people that I'm going to go to the Beat the Streets Chicago Gala this weekend. Those people are truly doing the Lord's work up there, giving people an opportunity, careers, university, training, discipline, all that. If you want to learn more, just go to beatthestreetchicago.org. You can click there. You can donate. And Mike Powell is the executive director. He literally doesn't take a salary. So the money's going to the right kids, the right people to present opportunities and to change young men and young, boys and girls' lives. So if you feel compelled to do so, please do. I will get to hang out with the younger, better looking Ostrander this weekend. So that's always a nice upgrade, Mark. Sincerely, though, I love seeing Ben. It'll be fun and excited that he's going to, be supporting the cause as well. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching and listening. See you soon.